So now we've got more information on the Prismatic set. We'll go through a kind of quick video to go over what's a plan with it, because as you can imagine, everything's sold out. It took 10 hours, I think the going rate was, for the Pokemon Center to completely go, and that has now caused a lot of panic, a lot of drama, loads of eBay resellers, which I get it. I do get it. Anything that's got a value, there's always going to be people to take advantage of that. I get that. And whenever I do an investment video, or at least talking about how you could make money from it, it's never to go above and beyond like this. Like we saw the 151 tins, where people are going in and buying basically like $4,000 worth of stock off a shelf. And as much as, yes, that of course is going to make you quick money, you could buy it at retail, put it higher because they can't go get it, it's sold out, you have got the supply and demand to a T, of course. But realistically, what we're looking at is buying like 1 or 2 boxes, maybe a case of something that isn't necessarily as popular right now, and then holding it for the long term. It's not necessarily buying a ETB to then flip it the next day for $300 because you can't get it on the website anymore. When you go across pretty much anywhere at this point, it is criminally out of stock everywhere. Now, is that something to be worried about? Should you go out and panic buy? Because we've seen it across everything at this point. There is so many sites now that are going through it. We look even at now, from the UK, Magic Madhouse is always a good one. We have got some items that you can go get. I don't know the quantity allowed, but you can obviously go get the tins, and Umbreon is out of stock, unfortunately. But you look at the kind of just the ETBs, even the empty trays are not there, but of course not. You've got obviously the Evolution Player Guide, you've got the tech stickers, even then the full set bundle, you've obviously got out of stock. You've got then the tech stickers for the others, and then the ETBs, all gone, which is no surprise. We saw it slightly with Surgeon Sparks and a bit of 151, but realistically this is a hype set. Like the general kind of status of this set is going through the roof, and that's mainly down to the Evolution alt arts. The special arts are a thing of beauty. Like genuinely, the crazy level to these cards are absolutely nuts. Like if we go over to here, this is kind of the set. I'm hoping, can I zoom in a bit more? The problem is it's not a great picture. You can't really see too much into it. Can I click the? Kind of. It's a little bit blurry. What about this picture? That's a little bit better. But in general, 35 special arts. We went over that last time, and then we got this basically leaked. And I don't know if it was leaked from Smith's Toys as well, of all places. That's going to be crazy. So we have the normal cards, we then have the EX cards, and then we have these special arts at the moment. More than likely we'll see a gold Eevee, maybe some others in gold. I doubt all of them. And then maybe even a different one as well. Maybe one on top of that. Because when we look at a lot of these sets, if you look at something like the Surgeon Sparks set, that has got obviously the Pikachu in it that everybody loves, of course. If I can go over to this screen, if we look at obviously the Pikachu, you've got yourselves the 3 different cards. So in the Japanese set, you've got him in his normal version, which, in fact, you'll have him in a normal version in the English set. You've got the EX version. We then also have we get there, this version, the EX there, and then we have the gold, and then the special art. There's going to be so many of these. It's going to be a crazy set in general, so I get where the hype's going. That's fair enough. But where to do the investing, where to actually buy it, that's going to be the toughest question that you can really go with. And the big thing to remember is, the more that we get into Pokemon now, the more that there's going to be more stock produced. We've already seen now a reprint of 151. Japanese, English, they're reprinting sets, they're making more collection boxes than ever before. There's going to be ultra premium collections, and this is not going to be the end of the set. There's going to be so much that you're going to be able to get from this. There will be stock eventually. And as we get closer to the actual release date, because this is, 3 months out, 17th of Jan is the English release. We'll obviously see a lot of pricing differences when it comes to the Japanese set being out in December. That's going to then release a lot of the cards of what's actually going to be in here. And it either goes more up or more down. It all depends on what that says. But when it comes to it, there is going to be more stock. More than likely, when we look at all of the products, you've got the Prismatic, all of the products are coming out at different dates as well. So if we go Prismatic Evolution products, because I remember seeing the site that we looked at in the last video, the one thing I didn't actually notice was actually the dates that everything's coming out. So when you look at this kind of gives you the full guide of everything. You've obviously got the pack arts, you've got what's coming out, you've got the Master Ball Reverse Holo and Pokeball Reverse Holo. But then we look at the trainer box. So we got the Elite Trainer box is the 17th of Jan. We then see another Elite Trainer box, which is not the Pokemon Center one. We then have the Binder collection, always good. We then have the Evolution Poster collection. But then when we go a bit further down, you've got the available tins on the 7th of February. Surprise box is going to be the 7th. We then have the Prismatic Evolution is available from the 7th of March. So if this does follow suit and we don't get it all at once, there is going to be a constant reprint of it, or at least a print that's going to keep them at such a level that hopefully not everybody can do it. And more than likely, you will have to spend a little bit extra for them. And that kind of just goes down to a big set. It's got the hype of it. It's bound to keep a lot of that hype going into it because we've saw Evolving Skies. And unfortunately, that is the same with a Surge and Sparks. You're not buying it at the value of what we saw Twilight Masquerade, of Obsidian Flames. Of course, it's coming in a little bit more expensive. So when you look at, obviously, the Surge and Sparks, we got 44 or 45. We're looking at the pre-order for the booster box. That's coming in at 140. It's quite expensive. Whereas we look at the previous set, we look at Stellar Crown, for instance. And yes, there might be differences in what's out and all of that jazz. But realistically, we're looking at a 40-something pound difference. You go to the ETB, if we go for highest, just arrivals, highest to low, you look at the ETBs, which are going to be somewhere in these cards. Oh, of course it's not. Let's go Stellar Crown. I don't know if it's just going to pop up. So we've got ETBs, they're coming in at 38. So the difference is absolutely crazy. You go just a bit further back, if we go to base set, it's been out a while, so obviously it's got a lot of stock in there, 110. The difference now is absolutely nuts that we are going to we're going to get to a point now where everything is slightly more expensive. We've got a big hype on the Rocket set. We've got a big hype on the Gym Heroes. We already knew the next Evolution set was going to go absolutely crazy because when you look at something like TCG Player and you look at how much truly them cards are, people are going to anticipate. Now, whether the hype and the demand is going to absolutely be there by the end of it is a completely different ball game. When you look across the Pokemon section, if we go to let's go to all sets, nice and easy. If you go to the Evolving Skies, you obviously can see the level that they're going for because this is a set that is not been replicated. Like the closest set I believe that's come to a lot of cards being considerably expensive is going to be something like 151. There's obviously going to be one or two sets that have got a really high rated card, but you're looking at the Moonbryon, the Rayquaza, then looking at Leafeon VMAX, and you can see the prices are just absolutely crazy. Like you look at just a Dragonite V Full Art, like in terms of prices, it's absolutely nuts of how much. And yes, it's kind of gone up and down a little bit. We're starting to see maybe a bit more of a dip into it, but then also it could go back up again. It's just that level inclined. It's absolutely nuts. So I would suggest when coming in and looking at this set is to think that you are going to pay more, but there is going to be stock. So paying $200, $300, $400 for an ETB at this point is just crazy. There's not been any allocation yet. There's not been anybody that has got a physical product of it because obviously it's not released yet. It's probably been printed, but there's none of that, and that probably won't happen until we get into at least December. I don't know how it fully works on when shops and kind of different distributors actually get the stock, but in general, it most definitely isn't now. They've only just announced it. I don't know if they intentionally leaked the actual special arts, but regardless, that was leaked more so than anything, if we have to take that with a pinch of salt, which is going to just provide more hype. There will be so much printing on this. They will not do it a disjustice. They know what this set is going to be like, so there is definitely going to be a crazy amount printed. And probably more than anything, the hardest part for it is the fact that it is not a normal set. It is meant to be a special set, so obviously there is no booster boxes. That's going to have a dramatic effect on it. When you look at something like 151, which is the same, we're seeing now the product's going crazy, but starting to dip down a little bit more as the reprint is happening. It naturally does happen. Like when we look at let's go display bundle, you can obviously see it's going crazy for the whole year. Like we're looking pretty expensive, but this is going to be how many? It's 10 booster bundles, so we're looking at what? They were normally around 25 to 30 pounds. So you're looking at what, 250 to 300. Realistically, it's a relatively normal rate at say like 380, give or take. And obviously, since the hype of it, it has gone up. That's natural. I think that's anything that is a popular set. The cards in that set are crazy. We saw a massive spike in the Charizard. Obviously, Venusaur is up there as well. There is a huge spike in there, and you've got to time it absolutely right. And you can kind of see with the cards themselves, these past few months, this is kind of like the highest it's ever been at like what, the 180, whereas now in the last month we're starting to see that slope up, and then it's coming down after all the news about these reprints. And it will be the exact same for Prismatic. There'll be an entry value that you'll get closer to the time. You'll still be able to get the products, but more than likely, as the set does come out, as more printing comes out, you more than likely will find it start to drop. There'll always be a level. Like, it's not just going to be a set that comes out at $500 an ETB. It's just not going to happen. More than likely, I think the most you could realistically see an ETB coming out, I don't think it'd be more than 100 on release date as well, or like at least like a week, 2 week in. I just don't see a set that would do that without like a poor printing or a poor distribution of it. It just wouldn't happen in this kind of era, especially with how they've done all of the other sets. Every set at this point has been really well printed and very accessible. And granted, maybe people would argue maybe people didn't want them, which I think is fine. Like, there's been a lot of kind of debate when you look at kind of like your base set was kind of okay. Paldea Evolved wasn't everybody's cup of tea. Even Obsidian Flames with the Charizard wasn't massive. 151 was obviously huge, was to be expected. But there is still some hitters in each one of these. It's not like there is no value in any of these. There is some very good cards across everything, but they're trying to stretch the sets out and make them more widely accessible. So it is going to be a very interesting one to keep the news as we go into the Japanese side of it with the, is it Terrestrial EREX? I don't know how to pronounce it, but the version in December. That will be the interesting sign to see where products go. It is going to be different slightly because obviously Japanese products are slightly different, but it will be very interesting to see what price ranges we have in comparison to the other Japanese sets, like the Dragoner, I can't really pronounce it, or for instance the Super Electric Breaker. Like, that's going to be an interesting one to see the price comparisons. But let me know if you've managed to pre-order any of it. It is going to be a very interesting one to see how this does go. Let me know in the comment section below. I'll catch you for the next one. Peace.